17 years of unrequited love for Nathan Green finally pushed Cynthia Jones to seek a dramatic glow-up at a medical spa, transforming her appearance to finally catch his eye. The plan works. The new beautiful Cynthia instantly captures Nathan's attention, leading to a date. However, the change also unexpectedly attracts the notice of CEO Marcus Hayes, a quirky former college acquaintance who offers her a life-changing, high-level marketing director job in San Francisco. The Accidental Glow-Up, Chapter 1, The Before Picture. Cynthia Jones had been in love with Nathan Green since the 3rd grade, which, if you do the math, amounts to approximately 17 years of unrequited feelings. 12 journals filled with Mrs. Cynthia Green doodled in increasingly determined handwriting, and one spectacularly awkward prom proposal that ended with Nathan saying, "That's so sweet, but I'm going with Madison." Madison. Of course it was Madison. At 25, Cynthia had convinced herself she was over it. She had a decent job as a marketing coordinator at a mid-sized firm, a studio apartment with only minor cockroach issues, and a collection of houseplants she'd managed to keep alive for almost 3 months. She was a functioning adult. A successful one, even. Except every time she scrolled through Instagram and saw Nathan's face, that perfect, symmetrical, completely unreasonable face, her heart did a little gymnastics routine that would put Simone Biles to shame. "You're doing it again," her best friend Tasha said, reaching across their favorite coffee shop table to wave a hand in front of Cynthia's phone. "The stalking thing. The thoughtful puppy dog thing. The why doesn't he love me thing. I'm not stalking. I'm casually observing public social media content." He posted a gym selfie. You zoomed in on his bicep. "I can see the pixel distortion from here." Cynthia locked her phone with as much dignity as she could muster. "I was checking for tattoos. People get tattoos now. It's a thing. Nathan Green doesn't have tattoos. Nathan Green has a finance degree and a subscription to The Economist. He's intensely boring. He's sophisticated. He once told me my creative career choices were economically inadvisable. He was trying to help." Tasha groaned, stirring her oat milk latte with unnecessary conflict. "Sin, babe, love of my life, platonic soulmate, you need therapy, not Instagram." But Cynthia wasn't listening, because right there, 3 posts down on her feed, was a sponsored ad that seemed to glow with divine intervention. Transform your life at Radiance Medical Spa, because you deserve to shine. The before and after photos were miraculous. Women who looked sort of like her, pleasant enough but forgettable, transformed into absolute goddesses. Same person, better packaging. "What if," Cynthia said slowly, "what if this is the universe telling me something? That targeted advertising algorithms are scarily effective? That I could, level up, make some improvements?" Tasha's eyes widened. "No, absolutely not. Do not finish that thought. Just small stuff. Nothing overwhelmed. Maybe my nose? My chin is a little weak, and my eyes could be bigger." "Your nose is fine. Your chin is fine. Your eyes are perfect, and this is the dumbest idea you've ever had, which is saying something, because in college you once tried to make beverage in your closet. That was for science. You were a marketing major." But Cynthia had already clicked on the ad, already started filling out the consultation form, already imagined walking into their 10-year high school reunion looking like a completely different person and watching Nathan Green's jaw literally drop to the floor. It was destiny. It was fate. It was definitely not a terrible decision she'd regret. Definitely not. Chapter 2. The After Picture. 3 months later, Cynthia stood in front of her bathroom mirror and didn't recognize herself. The nose job had been subtle. Just a slight refinement. The chin implant, barely noticeable. The eye lift, conservative. The lip fillers, modest. The cheek enhancement, tasteful. Combined together, they made her look like someone else entirely. Someone beautiful. Someone who could walk into a room and have people actually turn their heads. "Holy shit," Tasha whispered, standing in the bathroom doorway with her mouth open. "You look like you Facetune yourself in real life. Is that good or bad?" "I don't know. You're gorgeous. Like, objectively stunning. But also you don't look like you anymore, and that's freaking me out." Cynthia turned her face side to side, watching the light catch her new cheekbones. "I look like the best version of me. I look like who I was supposed to be." "You look like an AI-generated Instagram model." "Thank you." "That wasn't a compliment." But Cynthia was already planning her Nathan reunion strategy. She'd learned through careful social media reconnaissance, definitely not stalking, that he frequented a juice bar downtown every Thursday after work. Sophisticated, predictable, perfect. Thursday evening, she spent 2 hours on makeup. Another hour on her outfit, a casual but calculated ensemble that said I woke up like this, but actually meant I tried on 17 combinations and watched 3 YouTube tutorials. The juice bar was exactly the kind of place Nathan would love, revealing emotions brick, pretentious cheese boards, and a juice list that used words like jammy and notes of leather. Cynthia spotted him immediately at the bar, wearing a crisp button-down and discussing something very seriously with the bartender. Probably the optimal fermentation temperature for Pinot Noir. She took a deep breath, channeled every rom-com heroine ever, and walked over. Is this seat taken? Nathan looked up, and Cynthia waited for the recognition, the surprise, the dawning realization that she was his destiny. Instead, he smiled, a polite stranger danger smile, and said, "It's all yours. No recognition, nothing." "Thanks," Cynthia said, sitting down and trying not to challenge. "I'm Cynthia." "Nathan." He shook her hand. His palm was warm and slightly sweaty. She'd forgotten about his sweaty palms. Selective memory was a hell of a substance. "Do you come here often?" she asked, immediately wanting to die for using the world's oldest, most cliché line. "Every Thursday. It's my decompression ritual. Work and finance can be stressful." "I can imagine." She couldn't imagine. She didn't care. She was sitting next to Nathan Green, and he was talking to her, and this was finally happening. They talked for an hour. He told her about his job, boring, his apartment, boring, and his fitness routine, so boring, she briefly considered faking a medical emergency. But he was also charming and attentive, and when he asked for her number, Cynthia thought she might actually levitate off her barstool. "I'd love to take you to dinner," Nathan said, typing her number into his phone. "Saturday? Saturday's perfect." She floated home. She called Tasha shouting. She fell asleep imagining their future wedding, their future children, their future vacation home in the Hamptons, where they'd definitely eventually buy a vacation home. Because that's what finance guys did. Everything was finally falling into place. Chapter 3, The Complication. Saturday morning, Cynthia woke up to 17 texts from her mother. 3 missed calls from an unknown number, and 1 LinkedIn message that would change everything. The LinkedIn message was from Dr. Marcus Hayes, CEO of Hayes Medical Technologies. She almost deleted it. She got spam recruiter messages constantly, that something made her open it. "Ms. Jones, your innovative campaign for the nonprofit health initiative caught our attention. We're looking for a marketing director to lead our new patient advocacy division. Compensation, $180,000 base plus equity. Would you be interested in discussing?" Cynthia read it 3 times, then 4. Then screenshotted it and sent it to Tasha with approximately 40 exclamation points. The current salary was $52,000. $180,000 was, well, $180,000 must pay off your student loans immediately and never eat ramen again, money. She responded professionally, after Tasha edited out most of her exclamation points, and by noon had a phone interview scheduled for Monday morning. Then she remembered. She had a date with Nathan in 6 hours. The date was at an upscale Italian restaurant where the menu didn't list prices, which Cynthia had learned meant extremely expensive in rich people code. Nathan was already seated when she arrived, looking handsome and crisp in another button-down that probably cost more than her rent. "You look beautiful," he said, standing to pull out her chair. "Thank you." She still wasn't used to people calling her beautiful. It felt like wearing someone else's coat. Dinner was fine. Good, even. Nathan was attentive, asked questions, laughed at her jokes, but something felt off. Every time he complimented her appearance, she felt a tiny sting of disappointment. Every time he talked about his life, she wondered what he'd say if he knew he was sitting across from Cynthia Jones, the girl who'd been invisible to him for 17 years. They were halfway through entrees when someone tapped her shoulder. "Cynthia? Cynthia Jones?" She turned to find a man standing there, tall, slightly disheveled, with dark curly hair and glasses that were somehow both dorky and attractive. He was wearing a sweater with a coffee stain and the biggest smile she'd ever seen. "I'm sorry, do I? Marcus Hayes. We had bio together sophomore year. You let me borrow your notes that one time I had mono and missed 3 weeks. Probably saved my academic career." The name sparked a vague memory. A quiet guy who sat in the back, always doodling in the margins of his notebook. She'd felt sorry for him when he got sick. Oh, right, of course. She didn't remember it all. "I actually just messaged you on LinkedIn. Small world. Is this a bad time?" He finally noticed Nathan, who was looking increasingly annoyed. "We're having dinner," Nathan said flatly. "Right, sorry, Marcus turned back to Cynthia. "I'm in town for the weekend and saw you and thought, what are the odds? But I'll let you eat. Check your LinkedIn though, could be a great opportunity." He waved awkwardly and retreated to a table near the window where another guy sat laughing at him. "Friend of yours?" Nathan asked with an edge in his voice. "College acquaintance. Apparently he's a CEO now." Nathan marked his chicken with unnecessary precision. "I find it's better to keep professional and personal lives separate. LinkedIn messages from random men, even CEOs, can be inappropriate." Something in his tone irritated her. "He's offering me a job interview, not sliding into my DMs. I'm just saying you should be careful. You're a beautiful woman now. Men will take advantage." Now, the word hung in the air like a bad smell. "I'm a beautiful woman now," Cynthia repeated carefully. Nathan didn't even notice the danger. "You know what I mean. You're striking. You must get attention everywhere." "And before?" "Before?" He looked confused. "Before I was striking, what was I then?" We just met. I don't understand the question." And there it was. The confirmation that her worst concern was true. Nathan Green was attracted to her face. Her new face. The one she bought. Not her personality, not her humor. Not the 17 years of personhood she'd accumulated before. The rest of dinner was awkward. Nathan tried to recover, but Cynthia couldn't unhear that word. Now. As if she'd spawned into existence 3 months ago, fully formed and finally worthy of attention. When he walked her to her car, he tried to soft-look her. She turned her head, and his lips caught her cheek. "I'll call you?" he said, uncertain now. "Sure," she lied. She sat in her car for 10 minutes, staring at nothing, trying to figure out why getting everything she'd wanted felt so much like losing something important. Chapter 4. The Interview. Monday morning. Cynthia prepared for her phone interview with the kind of manic energy usually reserved for presidential debates or Olympic competitions. She had note cards. She had talking points. She had a glass of water with lemon for optimal vocal clarity. What she didn't have was any idea that Marcus Hayes would call 3 minutes early while she was still gargling mouthwash. She answered on the 4th ring, trying to swallow discreetly. "Hello? Cynthia, Marcus Hayes. I hope I'm not calling too early. I'm still on West Coast time and always mess up the zones." "No, perfect timing," she said, her voice only slightly strained. The interview was supposed to be professional, formal, a careful exchange of qualifications and corporate buzzwords. Instead, Marcus spent the first 5 minutes apologizing for interrupting her date. "I really am sorry. My impulse control is terrible. Ask anyone." Before diving into an enthusiastic explanation of his company that included at least 3 tangents and 1 anecdote about accidentally setting a lab on glow in grad school. "Anyway," he said, clearly trying to refocus, "your campaign for the Children's Hospital Initiative was brilliant. The way you positioned healthcare accessibility as a community investment rather than a cost burden? That kind of narrative reframing is exactly what we need." Cynthia blinked. She'd worked on that campaign 2 years ago, spent 3 months on it, and her boss had barely acknowledged it. Marcus had somehow found it and analyzed it in detail. "You actually read the case study?" "Read it. I used it as a teaching example at a healthcare innovation conference. You made complex policy sexy, which is basically sorcery." Something warm bloomed in her chest. "Thank you. That campaign was kind of my baby." They talked for 90 minutes. About healthcare, about marketing ethics, about the challenge of making medical technology accessible to underserved communities. Marcus was passionate and brilliant and kept interrupting himself to say things like, "Sorry, I'm talking too much. Tell me more about your approach to stakeholder engagement. By the end, Cynthia had forgotten to be nervous. So, Marcus said finally, here's my official offer. I want you to fly out to San Francisco next week, meet the team, see the office. Let us juice and dine you. Well, not juice, I don't drink, but we have excellent coffee and mediocre bagels. Very mediocre bagels, we're working on it. Cynthia laughed. I'd love that. Fair warning though, I looked you up, saw your Instagram. You're going to fit in terribly here. We're all nerds who dress like we shop exclusively at tech company conferences. Your aesthetic is way too put together. I can dress down. I have hoodies, somewhere. Perfect, see you next week. Cynthia Jones. This is going to be great. After they hung up, Cynthia sat in her carefully prepared interview space and realized she'd just had the best conversation she'd had in months, maybe years. Her phone buzzed, a text from Nathan. Had a great time Saturday. When can I see you again? She stared at it for a long moment, then typed, things are really busy with work. I'll let you know. Chapter 5. The San Francisco Revelation. The Hayes Medical Technologies office was not what Cynthia expected. Instead of a sterile corporate high-rise, it was a converted warehouse in the Mission District with plants everywhere, mismatched furniture that looked taken from various decades, and a wall covered entirely in post-it notes with ideas scribbled in different handwriting. Welcome to organized chaos, Marcus said, greeting her in the lobby wearing jeans, a Star Wars t-shirt, and those same endearing glasses. Did you find the place okay? The building looks like either a tech company or a substance front. We're working on signage. He was even more energetic in person, gesturing as he talked, introducing her to approximately 40 people whose names she'd never remember, stopping every few minutes to point out random details. That's Janet. She has 3 PhDs and makes sourdough starter in her desk drawer. We try not to ask questions. The company was developing affordable medical devices for rural healthcare clinics. The marketing challenge was convincing communities and donors that cutting-edge technology could be accessible. It was meaningful work, important work. It was also everything Cynthia had wanted without knowing she wanted it. So that's the tour, Marcus said, leading her to a rooftop deck with a view of the city. What do you think? I think you're either a genius or completely insane. Can't it be both? She laughed. It's incredible, genuinely, but this job feels too good to be true. Because it's a big leap? Because I don't understand why you want me specifically. There are people with more experience, better credentials. Better credentials than completely reshaping public perception of a complex healthcare initiative with a budget of basically zero. Marcus leaned against the railing. Cynthia, do you know how rare it is to find someone who combines strategic thinking with genuine empathy? Most marketers either sell you soulless garbage or create beautiful campaigns that don't actually work. You do both. That's uncommon. She felt that warmth again, spreading through her chest like good coffee. Plus, Marcus added, you were kind to sick college me. Anyone who shares notes with a disgusting mono patient is someone I want on my team. I honestly barely remember that. I know. That's what made it kind. You didn't do it to be noticed. You just did it. They stood there for a moment, looking at the city, and Cynthia realized something startling. She'd thought about her appearance exactly 0 times since arriving. No mirrors, no checks, no wondering if her makeup was smudging or her nose looked weird from certain angles. Marcus saw her, the actual her. The person who made thoughtful campaigns and shared notes with sick classmates and existed independent of cheekbone placement. Can I ask you something potentially inappropriate? Marcus said suddenly. That's a concerning preface. That guy you were with at the restaurant, the finance guy with the focused posture, is that serious? Her heart did something complicated. Why? Because if we hire you, when we hire you, we'd want you to relocate, and I'd want to know you've got support here. And I don't want to be the person who complicates a relationship. You're not, Cynthia said quickly. We went on 1 date. It's nothing. Good. He smiled, and it was different from his previous smiles. Softer, more careful. That's good. Chapter 6, The Truth. Cynthia accepted the job offer on Tuesday, gave her 2 weeks' notice on Wednesday, and by Thursday was fielding approximately 700 questions from Tasha about whether she was making a huge mistake. You're moving across the country for a job, Tasha said via FaceTime, her face pixelated with concern. Not for a man, right? Please tell me this isn't about finally getting over Nathan by running away. It's not about Nathan. Then what's it about? Cynthia thought about how to explain it. It's about Marcus looking at my work instead of my face. It's about doing something that matters. It's about, oh my God, you like him. What? No. I barely know him. You have that voice, the dreamy voice. The same voice you used to use when talking about Nathan, except less determined and more real. I don't have a voice. Sin, babe, light of my life. You're allowed to like someone who likes you back. That's how it's supposed to work. He doesn't like me. He's my boss. It's professional. Sure. And I'm the Queen of England. Before Cynthia could respond, her phone buzzed with another call. Nathan. She'd been avoiding him for a week, letting his calls go to voicemail, responding to texts with increasing vagueness. It was cowardly, and she knew it. I should take this, she told Tasha. Take what? Your impending doom call from boring finance, bro? Goodbye, Tasha. She switched lines. Hey, Nathan. Finally, I've been trying to reach you all week. Is everything okay? Yeah, sorry, work's been overwhelmed. Actually, that's what I wanted to talk to you about. I got a new job. In San Francisco. I'm moving. Silence. Then, what? When? That's so sudden. It's a really good opportunity. Director level, meaningful work. But what about us? We just started dating. Us. It was a small word with enormous presumption. Nathan, I need to tell you something. She took a breath. We went to high school together. More silence. What? Cynthia Jones. We had English together junior year. I asked you to prom senior year. You went with Madison instead. She could practically hear his brain working, searching for memories, finding nothing. I don't remember that. Are you sure? And there it was, confirmation. I'm sure. I was different then. I looked different. You wouldn't have noticed me. Cynthia, I don't understand what you're trying to say. I'm saying I got plastic surgery, Nathan. 3 months ago. My whole face. I did it because I thought if I looked different, you'd finally see me. And you did see me, but only because I don't look like me anymore. The silence stretched so long she checked if the call had dropped. That's not fair, Nathan said finally. You can't blame me for not recognizing someone who looks completely different. I'm not blaming you. I'm just realizing that I've spent 17 years creating a fantasy version of you in my head. And the real you is probably a perfectly nice person, but you're not who I thought you were. And more importantly, I'm not who I thought I was. So what, you're moving to San Francisco to find yourself or something? His tone had turned bitter. That's such a cliché. No, I'm moving to San Francisco to take a job I'm excited about, with people who see my work instead of my face. I'm moving to stop waiting for someone to notice me, and start noticing myself. This is about that guy from the restaurant, isn't it? The CEO? This is about me, Nathan. For the first time in years, this is actually about me. She hung up before he could respond, and instead of feeling thoughtful or guilty, she felt light. Unburdened. Tasha called back immediately. How'd it go? I think I just closed a 17-year-old chapter of my life. How does it feel? Like I can finally start reading something new. Chapter 7, The Beginning. Cynthia's first day at Hayes Medical Technologies started with a broken coffee maker, a glow drill, and Marcus accidentally stapling his tie to a presentation board. This is very on-brand for us, Janet from finance said, helping Marcus detach himself. Welcome to the team. The work was challenging and consuming in the best way. Cynthia threw herself into campaigns, strategies, stakeholder meetings. She worked late and arrived early. She filled her apartment with plants that immediately started dying, but it was the thought that counted. She explored San Francisco on weekends, finding bookstores and coffee shops and hidden parks. She also started therapy, which Tasha was intensely proud about. Look at you, processing challenge and developing healthy coping mechanisms. Tasha said during one of their weekly video calls, I'm like a proud mom whose kid finally learned to use the toilet. That's a terrible analogy. But am I wrong? She wasn't wrong. Therapy was helping Cynthia understand why she'd attached so much self-worth to Nathan's attention, why she'd thought changing her appearance would fix internal problems, why she'd spent so long trying to become someone else instead of growing into herself. Your face isn't the problem. her therapist Dr. Kim said during one session. The surgery isn't the problem. The problem was thinking external changes could fix internal wounds. So I shouldn't have done it? I didn't say that. You're allowed to change your appearance, but do it for yourself, not for someone else's gaze. It was a distinction Cynthia was still working through. What helped was that Marcus treated her exactly the same, regardless of how she looked. When she came to work without makeup, he didn't comment. When she dressed up for a donor meeting, he complimented her presentation skills, not her outfit. He saw her work, her ideas, her contributions. He also made her laugh approximately 600 times per day. Did you know, Marcus said one day, bursting into her office with characteristic enthusiasm, that the inventor of the graham cracker created it to suppress warm urges? How's that for marketing? Eat this bland cracker and never feel desire again. Why do you know this? I fall down Wikipedia holes when I can't sleep. Last night, I somehow went from reading about healthcare policy to learning about Victorian anti-masturbation campaigns. The internet is a wild place. You need hobbies. I have hobbies. I collect weird facts and bother my employees. Those aren't hobbies, Marcus. But she was smiling. She was always smiling around him. 3 months into the job, the company threw a celebration for successfully launching their first product into 20 rural clinics. The party was at a brewery with a comprehensive non-alcoholic selection for Marcus, and the entire team was giddy with accomplishment. Cynthia stood on the patio, watching the sunset over the city, feeling genuinely happy. Not maybe happy, or happy if these specific conditions are met, but actually fully content. There you are. Marcus appeared beside her, holding 2 elaborate mocktails. I got you the thing with elderflower and lies about tasting like a real cocktail. Thank you. She took the drink. Hell of a day. Hell of a 3 months. You've exceeded every expectation, which is saying something, because my expectations were already unreasonably high. I had good material to work with. Your technology actually works and helps people. Makes my job easier. Still, you're brilliant. I'm lucky we found each other. The phrasing hung in the air. Found each other. More loaded than professional courtesy required. Marcus, Cynthia said carefully, can I ask you something? Always. That day you saw me at the restaurant, with Nathan, did you actually recognize me from college, or was that an excuse? He was quiet for a moment, looking at his drink. Honest answer? Please. I recognized you from your LinkedIn photo, which I'd been staring at for 3 days while working up the courage to message you. And when I saw you in person, I thought, I can't let this opportunity pass without at least saying hello. He met her eyes. The college thing was true, but it was also a convenient excuse to talk to you. Why didn't you just say that? Because you were on a date with Captain Finance, and I was your potential future employer, and there are about 17 HR violations in that scenario. Cynthia laughed. Fair point. Can I ask you something now? Go ahead. The plastic surgery thing you mentioned to him, is that true? Her stomach dropped. You heard that? I wasn't eavesdropping. I was leaving and passed by your table at the wrong moment. Or the right moment. He shook his head. Sorry, that's intrusive. You don't have to answer. But Cynthia found she wanted to answer. Wanted him to know. It's true. I got a bunch of procedures done about 6 months ago. Changed my whole face. Basically, I did it to get someone's attention. Nathan's attention. Someone I've been in love with since elementary school who never noticed me. And did it work? Yeah. He was very attracted to the new version of me, which made me realize the new version wasn't really me at all. Or maybe it is me, I don't know. And still figuring it out. Marcus nodded slowly. Can I tell you what I see when I look at you? I'm not sure I'm ready for that answer. Too bad. I'm telling you anyway. He turned to face her fully. I see someone who rebuilt a company's entire messaging strategy in 3 months. Someone who spent last Tuesday arguing with the donor for 40 minutes about accessibility standards because she refused to compromise on reaching underserved communities. Someone who leaves encouraging post-its on Janet's desk when she's stressed and thinks no one notices. He paused. I see someone who's been beautiful the entire time but is just starting to believe it herself. Cynthia felt emotion prick her eyes. That's not fair. You can't say things like that. Why not? Because you're my boss. Because there are HR implications. Because I moved here for a job, not to develop complicated feelings. What if I develop the complicated feelings first? Marcus, I know this is terrible timing and inappropriate and probably 7 kinds of illegal. But I've been watching you become yourself for 3 months. And Cynthia, you're extraordinary. Surgery or no surgery, then or now. You're the most interesting person I've met in years. She didn't plan to soft-look him. It just happened. A spontaneous decision made by her form before her brain could interfere with logic and HR policies and appropriate workplace boundaries. He kissed her back, gentle and certain, and it felt nothing like kissing Nathan. It felt like coming home to a place she didn't know she'd been looking for. When they broke apart, Marcus was grinning like an idiot. So, he said, we should probably talk to HR about this. Probably. And establish very clear boundaries. Very clear. And maybe go on an actual date where I don't ambush you at a restaurant? That would be nice. Saturday, there's a mediocre bagel place I want to take you to. Cynthia laughed. Really laughed. The kind of laugh that comes from genuine joy instead of performance. Saturday, she agreed. Epilogue, the after picture. 1 year later, Cynthia stood in front of her bathroom mirror, applying mascara and thinking about transformations. She'd gotten some filler dissolved. Not all of it, she actually liked her lips now, but enough to feel more like herself. Her face was a negotiation between who she'd been and who she'd wanted to be, and she was making peace with the middle ground. You almost ready? Marcus called from the living room of the apartment they'd moved into together 3 months ago. Tasha's going to end us if we're late to her gallery opening. 2 minutes. She looked at her reflection one more time. Same face that had launched this whole journey. Different eyes looking back. More confident, less apologetic. Her phone buzzed with a text from Nathan. Saw your engagement announcement. Congratulations. She'd posted the news yesterday. A photo of her and Marcus on a hiking trail, both sweaty and laughing. Her hand extended to show a simple ring. She texted back. Thank you. Hope you're well. And she meant it. No bitterness. No regret. Just genuine hope that Nathan would find whatever he was looking for, and that it would make him as happy as she'd accidentally stumbled into being. Cynthia Jones Hayes, Marcus shouted. Stop admiring yourself and let's go support our best friend. It's still just Jones, she shouted back, laughing. We're not married yet. Semantics. She grabbed her bag and found him waiting by the door, holding her jacket and smiling that same ridiculous smile that had somehow become her favorite thing in the world. Ready? He asked. And she was. Not because she'd fixed herself, or found herself, or become some perfect final version, but because she'd stopped waiting for her life to begin and started living it instead. Ready, she said. They left together, and Cynthia didn't look back. End.
I love making these videos for you. If you liked this story, then please like, subscribe to my channel, and switch on the notifications for more entertaining stories. Please also leave a comment for any story suggestions.